हाय, इस वीडियो में मेनली हम कवर करेंगे फॉर्मुलेशन ऑफ पब्लिक पॉलिसी। ओके, हम देखेंगे कौन से फैक्टर्स जो है मेनली रिस्पॉन्सिबल होते फॉर द फॉर्मुलेशन ऑफ पॉलिसी। ओके, सो द फर्स्ट वन इज द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल फ्रेमवर्क फॉर पॉलिसी मेकिंग। ओके, पॉलिसी मेकिंग के लिए कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के अंदर क्या फ्रेमवर्क बनाया गया है। तो पॉलिसी मेकिंग इन इंडिया इज शेप्ड within the framework of the constitutional system, of which four features stand out most prominently, that is democratic, sovereign republic, parliamentary system, and federal character of the constitution, and a broad socio-economic philosophy that is reflected especially in the preamble of the chapter on the fundamental rights and active principle of the state policy. So देखिए, मेनली संविधान के अंदर जो है वो कुछ फीचर्स है जो मेनली ये बताते कि जो पॉलिसी मेकिंग है इंडिया के अंदर, ओके, तो उसका जो फ्रेमवर्क है वो मेनली हमें इन चार फीचर से पता चलता है। जैसे इंडिया इज़ द डेमोक्रेटिक कंट्री, ओके, लोकतांत्रिक देश है। इट मीन्स व्हाट, इट मीन्स ये कि जो पॉलिसी हो पब्लिक पॉलिसी बनेगी यहाँ पे। देन इट इज़ अ सोवेरन रिपब्लिक। ओके, सोवेरन रिपब्लिक मीन्स द हेड ऑफ द स्टेट। ओके, रिपब्लिक, हेड ऑफ द स्टेट इज द इलेक्टेड। ओके, देन पार्लियामेंट्री सिस्टम है अपने यहाँ। ओके, वेयर टू हाउसेस है, एक लोकसभा एक राज्यसभा। ठीक है। देन फेडरल, फेडरल कैरेक्टर है। फेडरल कैरेक्टर का मतलब ये कि हमारे यहाँ दो गवर्नमेंट है। सो द ब्रॉडर सोशो इकोनॉमिक फिलोसफी also display the framework of the policy making. So how that is through the preamble, then fundamental rights and active principle of state policy. Okay, so these all are mainly the framework, okay, constitutional framework for the policy making. Now we will see the institutional factors. So in addition to these four constitutional factors, there are other factors that govern policy making in India. तो कौन से फैक्टर है। सबसे पहला लेजिस्लेचर। ओके, लेजिस्लेचर किस लिए आता है? लेजिस्लेचर आता है पॉलिसी मेकिंग में, लॉ मेकिंग। पार्लियामेंट इन इंडिया इज अ सुप्रीम पब्लिक पॉलिसी मेकिंग बॉडी। ठीक है, पार्लियामेंट, संसद, इट रिजाइन सुप्रीम बिकॉज ऑफ द काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर हेडेड बाय द प्राइम मिनिस्टर, इज डिपेंड अपॉन the support of parliamentary majority to remain in force. It enact law which will bring the policy into effect. It also legitimate the policy decision of the government. तो because of the parliament, okay, parliament क्या है? एक सुप्रीम पब्लिक, सुप्रीम बॉडी है, ओके, फॉर द पब्लिक पॉलिसी मेकिंग। तो ये पार्लियामेंट, ठीक है, पार्लियामेंट एक सुप्रीम बॉडी है फॉर द मेकिंग ऑफ द पब्लिक पॉलिसी। और क्यों ये सुप्रीम में? बिकॉज यहाँ पे क्या है, पार्लियामेंट के अंदर काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर्स बैठे, ओके, मेनली हेडेड बाय द प्राइम मिनिस्टर्स। ऑल द काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर सीटेड इन द पार्लियामेंट एंड दे हैव द लेजिटिमेसी पावर टू फ्रेम द लॉ। ओके, सो इन रियलिटी हाउएवर इट डज नॉट रिजीम सुप्रीम। ओके, लेकिन जो रियलिटी में पार्लियामेंट जो है सुप्रीम नहीं रहता है। इट डज नॉट डिटरमाइन पॉलिसीज एक्सेप्ट इन फॉर्मल सेंस, कुछ फॉर्मल सेंस में, बट इट इन्फ्लुएंस पब्लिक पॉलिसी थ्रू जनरल डिस्कशन एंड डिबेट। मोस्ट ऑफ द लेजिस्लेशन इन इंडिया is prepared within executive and introduced in the legislature for the minister concerned. The executive is assured of the legislative majority for the policy proposal it present. Okay, तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट के अंदर काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर हेडेड बाय द प्राइम मिनिस्टर होते हैं, लेकिन मेनली जो काम है वो उन्हीं का नहीं होता है, बस पॉलिसी बना देना। दैट पॉलिसी विल बी मेड और फ्रेम बाय द जनरल डिस्कशन एंड डिबेट। ओके, इस तरीके से पॉलिसी प्रोसेस, ओके, मेनली पॉलिसी बनती है। सो दिस इज द रोल ऑफ लेजिस्लेचर एंड लेजिस्लेचर is is mainly concerned with the parliament in India. Okay, and parliament have the power to make the law, and where the policy will be framed after the general discussion and debate. Okay, then the role of the executive. It is the constitutional task of the executive to decide the policy which are to be submitted to parliament. The executive at the union level in India consists of the president of India and council of minister and the machinery of the government. So these all three are the main executive of the government of India. The main body engage in the policy formulation in the executive are, what are they? Cabinet, the real executive of the council of minister consisting of the prime minister, cabinet minister, minister of the state and deputy ministers. It is well known that council itself hardly meet and all the policy function are performed by the cabinet. Okay, so cabinet is the real executive and he also made lot of policies. Okay, the mainly the policies are made by the real executive. Okay, then the prime minister with the council of minister is general and the cabinet is in particular. The prime minister enjoy special position in the realm of policy making because prime minister is expected to exercise control over the cabinet decision making process. So supreme power is come into the, that is the prime minister, because he is the real executive. So therefore most of the cases or most of the policies, okay, mainly influenced by the prime minister. Then secretariat, department and ministry. The secretariat is the administrative organization to assist the government in discharge of its executive and legislative responsibility. तो जो सेक्रेटरीट होता है, डिपार्टमेंट होते हैं, मिनिस्ट्री होती है, ये सभी मेनली रिस्पॉन्सिबल होते हैं फॉर द execution and legislation of the policy. It is a complex of department and ministries whose administrative head are known as secretaries and whose political head are the minister. तो किसी भी डिपार्टमेंट में सबसे ऊपर होता है मिनिस्टर, पॉलिटिकल लीडर, देन होता है द एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव हेड, that is the secretary. Okay, mainly the government servant. The secretary act as a chief advisor to the minister. He assists the minister in the formulation of public policies. So the policies can be framed only on the basis of availability and adequate of the data. The secretariat make relevant information available to the minister, thus helping हिम टू फॉर्मुलेट पॉलिसी. ओके, तो पॉलिसी बनाने में जो डाटा है मिनिस्टर्स को मेनली वो कौन प्रोवाइड करते? सेक्रेटरीट प्रोवाइड करते. ओके, देन रोल कम टू द जुडिशियरी. ओके, द जुडिशियरी इन इंडिया also play constructive role in shaping and influencing public policy in two way. What are they? By the power of judicial review and then judicial decision. These two main way through which they will help in the policy process. Okay, so the constitutional empower the Supreme Court and High Court at the state level to exercise judicial review of legislation. Judicial review is the power of the court to determine the constitutionality of action of the legislature and the executive. So whatever the action that is taken by the legislature and executive, that is checked by the Supreme Court and the High Court. Okay, through the judicial review. They are not only specifying the government limit with regard to certain action, but also stating what must do to promote public interest. ओके, तो वो क्या सिर्फ गवर्नमेंट की क्या पावर है, कितनी लिमिट है उसकी, यही नहीं बताते, बट ऑल्सो दे से what they must do, okay, to promote the public interest. So beside the higher judiciary is also exercising its influence through the decision in public interest litigation cases. Okay, likewise the judiciary is also play very important role in the policy process. Okay, so policy process mainly influenced by the judiciary, then the secretariat, department and ministries, cabinet, prime ministers, that these are mainly the executive. Okay, and the legislature. Now this is the institutional body. Now the non-constitutional institutions. Okay, actually non-governmental institutions, and these all are the constitutional. Okay, mainly institutional factor, but they are mainly the constitutional. Okay, so the non-governmental institutions, what are they? Some non-governmental organizations such as political parties, pressure groups, media, citizen are also in formal participation in the policy process. their view and influence are critical value to the policy making process. So how they influence, we will see one by one. First, political parties and pressure groups. The the pressure exerted by pressure group and political parties is an important factor in making the policy. Okay, so pressure group and political parties, okay, play very important role in making the policies. So political parties provide impetus to the policies through their election manifesto. Okay, so by enlisting support at the time of elections, pressure groups strive to influence decision of the government in manifesto manifold ways. Okay, there are many ways through which the pressure group mainly influence the decision of the government. Okay, there are multiple ways. Often these groups are found to have conflicting value on the particular political issue. Okay, policy issue. Obviously, well organized and active pressure group have more influence than the group whose member are poorly organized and inarticulate. Okay, so जो अगर प्रेशर ग्रुप बहुत स्ट्रांग है, then definitely they will pressurize the government and influence according to their wish. Then individual citizen and the media, they also play very important role, okay, in the policy process. The people initiate, okay, the process of legislation and policy making by voting, okay, for candidate with special policy preference, okay, with specific policy preference. Democratic government is supposed to reflect wishes of the people. Yet in reality citizen participation in the policy making very negligible, बहुत कम होता है रियलिटी में एक आम लोग का पार्टिसिपेशन पॉलिसी प्रोसेस के अंदर. Acting alone, the individual citizen is rarely a significant political force. Okay, the media can also influence public opinion in a situation. Media influence, however, depend upon the level of responsiveness from the government. So therefore, media is also very much important in influencing the public policy. Now, the external agencies influencing the policies. What are the external agencies? External agencies, it means the international governments. So international governments such as the external agencies and non-state actors are the important source in the initiating a new public policies and modification of the pre-existing policies, especially in the third world countries. Okay, like India. थर्ड वर्ल्ड कंट्रीज मतलब जो आफ्टर सेकंड वर्ल्ड वार के बाद जो डेवलप इंडिपेंडेंट हुई है, दैट ऑल कंट्रीज कॉल्ड द थर्ड वर्ल्ड countries. So they include the agencies such as the United States. Okay, United States, where it is, they include agencies such as the United Nations and its alliance agencies such as the WHO, ILO, UNEP, UNDP, etc. So World Bank, the International Monetary Fund, organizations for economic cooperation and development, and other multilateral agencies is a critical important in shaping the policy outcome. So these all are main, okay, the international organization, they also influence the public policy. Okay, so this is how the policy is formulated. Mainly these all factor, ये सभी फैक्टर जो है, ओके, जैसे एक्सटर्नल एजेंसीज हो गए जिसको मेनली नॉन गवर्नमेंटल इंस्टीट्यूशन के अंदर डिवाइड किया गया. पॉलिटिकल प्रेशर, ओके, पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज, प्रेशर ग्रुप और इंडिविजुअल सिटीजन एंड मीडिया. एक्सटर्नल एजेंसीज ये सभी क्या है, ये सभी है नॉन गवर्नमेंटल इंस्टीट्यूशंस जो मेनली पॉलिसी फार्मूलेशन के दौरान अपना इन्फ्लुएंस दिखाते हैं. एंड दिस ऑल आर दी मेनली इंस्टीट्यूशनल फ्रेमवर्क, मतलब ये गवर्नमेंटल, ओके, गवर्नमेंटल इंस्टीट्यूशंस है and they also influence the policy. So these all are the main factors, okay, that are mainly used, okay, mainly influence, okay, mainly help for the shaping the public policy. Okay, so this is the formulation of public policy and all these are the main the actors that are really important in the policy, okay, to shaping the policy, public policy. So in the next video we will cover the next topic, that is the policy implementation. Okay, so after formulation we will come, okay, on the implementation process. So that's all for this video. Thank you, bye bye.